Welcome back to Chocolate Espresso Podcast. I'm your host, Thomas Newair. Whatever floats your fancy. I'm not super duper uber cooper duper lift. I lost my train of thought. I ain't Biggie. I'm your host, Thomas Newair. I already said that. Yeah, y'all messing up my whole intro.
No, you messing up innocent and I ain't do nothing.
Look, this is different, man. Look, we got everybody back in their regular positions. We ain't got no special guests this time. You know what I'm saying? So everybody's in their regular spots. Cam 2, we got our favorite. Is she our favorite? She my favorite. I'll let that go. She my favorite. She beautiful. She gonna introduce herself. You guys, go ahead.
It's teenager Aaliyah. Welcome to Chocolate Espresso.
We got Cam 3. Regular.
What's up? It's Alizé in the building. What's up?
And surprisingly enough, Dwight's actually earned the full intro as long as he keeps it under 10 seconds.
Hey, King Dez. Welcome to Chocolate Espresso.
Y'all, man, this is a blessing. Look, he learned.
Bro,
He learned. I gotta praise him for it. You doing good. Let's go.
Wait,
Okay.
Hold on. Can we pause for a second?
What's going on?
Cause I don't know if y'all know this, but I'm the person that runs our social media, and y'all ain't interacting with the content. Where's the likes and the comments? Where's the likes and the shares and the comments and the downloads and the saves?
I know.
We
I'm
on
doing
TikTok, we on Instagram, we on YouTube. Well, where else we
You know
at?
what? I will
we
admit,
gonna be on
I'm
Patreon soon, y'all. So
liking on
get
TikTok.
into that.
this
Where else
point.
we at?
That's it so far.
Where's the we got some audios. We got some audio
We got some
listeners.
audio clips out there.
Yeah,
iHeartRadio. all that stuff.
listen. Camera on me. Listen. Chocolate Espresso Podcast on all social media. Wherever you on social, Chocolate Espresso Podcast. Follow us. Lock in. Show us some love.
We did a whole photo shoot. We got merch.
We got
too.
merch.
You know what?
Man.
You know what?
First
That's
off,
congratulations. That's
run
something to
it
be
back.
proud about. We did that. All right.
Run it back. Well, you know what? To be fair, they ain't seen the photo shoot for the merch yet. That's on me.
It's also on me. I got to create the content for it.
But
too.
y'all can still buy the merch. Alright? It's in the bios. It's in all of our bios.
Is it?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Somewhere down here?
Somewhere down there.
All right, bet.
It's on Linktree.
Bang.
Linktree.
Bang.
Chocolate Espresso Podcast. Run us up.
Run us up. All
Back
right.
to your regularly scheduled program.
Thank you for the long intro.
See, it's not me no more. No.
Yeah, I got questions though. Like straight up, man. Did y'all hear about this in Minnesota? Lyft and Uber pulling out due to new city ordinance.
Ordinance? Yeah.
In Minneapolis, the city council basically said they chose East Africans over corporate greed.
Man.
Okay, so if y'all didn't know, right, in the state of Minnesota, a lot of the Lyft drivers are East African, right? They're immigrants, per se. And essentially Lyft and Uber, and I have a little personal stake in this, is I drove Lyft and Uber for a little bit, so I know the game, and I used to, I'm a question asker. I like to ask all kinds of questions. So I love asking riders, because they had no problem telling you the truth. I would say, hey, this is a 20-minute ride. How much they charge you for that? Sometimes $20-$30. And I look at what I would get, $12, $10, just chump change, right? So Lyft and Uber for a fact. And to be fair, I can't say for a definitive fact because I didn't see them bill and whatever, but I believe the customer that said I didn't pay $20 for this, whatever the case, $20-$30 for this ride.
Right.
I feel like if they're taking between 50 to 60% at a minimum typically, and on average maybe 75 in some worst cases, I like to believe at that point it is greed. Right? So for them to say like, oh, we're pulling out because Minneapolis wants to demand that drivers can get a minimum wage, especially if this is their job, this is what they're doing full time. And Lyft is like, nah, we can't do that because then we got to charge the consumers more because we don't want them dipping in our pockets when they're already taking around 50%.
Which is wild.
Think about it.
Wild.
What's your thoughts, Alizé? Actually, y'all did switch spots. Did y'all? No. These are spots.
No,
This
we're
is
good.
my spot. I mean, now that you broke it down like that, because I only see what like the news have about it. And at first I'm just sitting here like, yeah, this is kind of sort of going to end well. Because if that's the case, what they proposed, I'm sitting here more so thinking, love, y'all proposing that more so like a taxi service. And if that was the case, y'all could have just drove for a taxi. But
Valid.
then the way you just broke it down, I was like, yeah, that is kind of messed up. Like, but then I guess the way I feel like they could just start charging them minimum wage for however many hours worked, you get charged minimum. You get paid minimum wage. All that 0.5 per mile and stuff like that, like that is kind of that's racking it up a little bit.
Right.
So
Yeah, that's valid.
It's a tough one, ain't it?
Yeah.
yeah, because again, not even the taxi service was charging that much per mile. So that part was to me a little greedy, because if the taxi services when they was popping wasn't charging that much per mile, why y'all want to come back and say let's charge this much per mile? So once again, and then you say, well, we're using our cars. Okay, well, go work for a taxi, and you're using their cars.
And so I want to personally, going off of what you're saying, I personally was like, okay.
Wait a minute, let me add this.
Go ahead.
I don't know sometimes what I'm talking about. Just my opinion. So if y'all know more about it, educate me. Don't have me sit here looking stupid. Okay, go ahead.
Leave your comments in the comments. All right.
Come correctly, come politely.
Right, correctly, politely, please. But my thing is, I was like, okay, well, then what are they doing? But like you said, there's some people that are making only $5 on a ride. Like a Big Mac at McDonald's for 20 to 30 minute ride is actually wild. That's actually crazy. It doesn't even replace the gas that it took for you to make the trip. So I think they knew what they were doing. They were targeting an uninformed and uneducated and taking advantage of people that were trying to do anything they can to make their
calling
next
them
dollar. And then you're gonna sit there and be like, okay, cool, but these people are working. Make sure you're paying them reasonably. That's the whole basis of the conversation. In 2024, two companies are like, nah, bro, that's too much.
We choose not to give
That's
them a
obviously
livable
corporate
wage.
greed. Like, you know what I'm saying?
As
Like,
per
You dipping into their bonus check. Go ahead.
as per Google,
for existing.
right? This is as per Google. As per Google, Uber is worth 157.96 billion
Hold up. Wait.
dollars.
Huh? To tell me where to get my next
Lyft
ride at?
is worth 6.89 billion dollars, and that's as of March 15th, 2024.
Hold on. Can I request two more math equations? One. Okay. Doesn't it also show the employee number, like how many they got?
How many
employed from?
employees?
Yeah. How many employees? Because I know that they used to share that information sometimes when you looked up a company.
I also want
You want to know
to
how many employees they have?
Yep. And then yep. And then times that by
Uber has as of goodness gracious, as of Google, Uber has 30,400 employees.
30,400 employees.
So you're sitting here telling me y'all can't pay them at least by the minimum
And that
minimum
is
wage.
that is car share, Uber Eats, Postmates, Uber Eats, Uber. That's Corner Shop Drizzly, whatever that is. I mean, actually, I think that stopped in 2024, and it's Kareem, which is stopped in 2023.
Cool,
but those are the
cool,
subsidiaries.
Cool. I just wanted to do a little math, right?
But that's just Uber. That's just Uber. You want Lyft too?
Hold on. I'm going to just do Uber real quick because we
Okay.
on Uber.
Go
So
ahead.
what it takes to pay every one of those people $30,000, like $30,000, like we're talking about like a salary expense, is $900 million.
That's almost a third of their budget, though. And that doesn't equate to people who have to keep up the system, who has to worry about security, who also needs to continue to upgrade the apps, make it more flawless, give you better algorithms for people who are actively like that is their job.
You know what though?
Like, think about that.
You know what though? But I've always said this. If it wasn't for, and maybe if you watching this pod right now and you got money, maybe you probably about to put in the comment section, she on that broke mindset,
Yeah.
or she on this is why she the employee and not the CEO,
Right.
But as an employee, right, and especially when you have the CEO or you have the COO or the higher ups come down on the ground level and be like, I remember when I was you driving, and I remember when I was you doing the job that you're doing.
Those are two completely different
Some of
worlds.
them never did.
So listen, right? So I always thought that the people who are the ones making your company money should be paid. I'm not saying more.
Equally.
I'm not saying equally either.
Oh.
Right? I'm not saying that.
Well, not
I'm not
too
saying
much
that.
equally.
But you should be getting paid decently. You
Yes.
should be getting paid enough to survive.
Yes.
You should be getting paid enough to not have to go paycheck to paycheck and struggle.
Yep.
Because if you didn't have drivers,
I got a couple
the
things.
CEO of Uber gonna get in the car and start driving people around? No.
No, he
The
not.
CEO
He gonna
of
move to the
Lyft
next.
does. They
does?
in the beginning.
He drives Lyft?
In the beginning, I don't know if they're still doing it, but a lot of the employees in the office did get out and were told you have to drive X amount of hours and do stuff because the original CEO had that mentality of everybody should be able to do this
Yep.
and know what it's like, so we can all. And I think part of it, in my personal opinion, was to see like, okay, we can change everything on our end, but how does it actually equate in practice?
Right.
How does it look? How does it
Right.
feel?
Which you should
So,
have that.
Yeah.
It makes you more accountable of what you're saying. Because people say a bunch of stuff when they're not experienced. But when you got to deal with it, you're like, oh, wait a minute.
So I wonder if I got a couple of things, right? So according to Google and Chat GPT,
Oh, gosh.
apparently between $15 and $25 an hour is what these drivers are already making. So if Uber, but if that's the thing, right? So if they're claiming you are an average, that's the crazy part. They're saying on average you're making between $15 and $25 an hour. Why would you pull out if you're already giving people the minimum wage?
But even
That's an
then,
important thing.
I feel like that $25 an hour is on a higher end.
But-
I feel like that $25
response.
an hour is when you're working more than what you would work if you just had a regular job. I feel like it's more than it's more than 40 hours a week.
So
I don't think that they're working 40 hours a week and making $25 an hour. I don't think so.
I have a conspiracy theory for you, right? Because again, when I was doing it, I can equate to this, and I have evidence of it.
Okay.
I actively was making maybe $30 to $40 an hour.
Okay, I could be wrong.
And like minus the tips, maybe 30 on the lower end, like $30 an hour. So to me, when I was
And you
doing
were
it,
just driving inner city?
yeah, I would do it for maybe like 8 hours. You know, and it would be like a night shift, or sometimes it'd be during the day. But I always typically, like on the lowest end, if I were like, you know what, I'm tired of doing this, maybe like $25, and that was like a rarer end of everything. And maybe it's like the way you go about it, right? Because I got the airplane. What do you call those? The airport runs. I got the airport runs, so I got the MSP port or whatever,
Yep.
the permit to do that and pick people up and drop them off. You don't even want to drop them off, but if you wanted to pick them up, it was dope, right? Because usually if it was the airport ones, people were usually on average going between 15, 20 minutes, but they charge a little bit more because you have to pick them up from the airport. And I think the city already had some legislation there for that. But that being said, right, the conspiracy theory is if it's the East African people or the immigrants, if you just want to surmise it like that, if they were not giving them a minimum wage and they wanted to enforce that, why was I having such a better experience? Is it because I was, quote unquote, a legitimate American? I don't know if they're illegal. I don't know if they're immigrants. I don't know if it's, an aliens. I don't know if they, because again, Minneapolis is a sanctuary city. So they're allowing them to have licenses, like driver's licenses. They're also giving them faster access to working and getting a tax code and all that other stuff. So is the algorithm kind of, exploiting them and not people who were born here? I don't know. But I can only speak on my experience, right? If I were to say, would I do Lyft and Uber full time? I would say no. But if I lost my job or something and I was in between, I would easily say, like, I'd be okay if I did that.
An hour.
So, but that's just me. I also knew, like, there are certain times throughout the day where you would make more money, right? You also had the surcharges. You also, like, if I declined rides and stuff like that, my rating was so high that if I declined like 10 rides, the app would like, okay, you're done for the day. Or it would like say, okay, if you're not going to pick anybody up, just don't work.
Right.
It would shut you off. But if I did it, it wouldn't even matter overall, because even if I accepted the next 3 rides, I'd still be good. It would still send me people. Also, you got to look at the vehicle you have, right? Do you have good gas mileage? So I like to say whatever you make, you got to subtract you got to start with a full tank of gas. So take that out.
Right.
And then you got to end the day off with a full tank of gas, because if you're not doing this later on, like let's say you do it on a Sunday and you got a regular 9 to 5 Monday to Friday, you got to spend it twice. So in my car, what is that, like $80 total? Because it's like between
It's
like $35 to fill the full tank, and I got to get premium gas. I got a turbo in my car, so let's say 35, 70, between 70 and $80, whatever, right? You got to take that away from whatever profits you made. And that's how I still ended up with that number between, on average, $30 to $40 an hour. Okay. So that's why I'm wondering, like, is the conspiracy that they're purposely targeting immigrants and they're helping those who are here? I don't know. But why would they say that? Why pull out if they're saying the average pay is already minimum wage?
Right.
I don't know.
My question would then be, like you said, what is the problem then? What is the challenge that you're getting into? And if we're talking about it's too expensive to run our business in a place that is in a target audience, like the reason why Uber and Lyft are super successful is because they're targeting inner cities with dense populations, the people who need to be able to drive.
Yeah.
They're not out here in the country in the boonies driving you from your corn farm. Like that's not what's going on here. Like they make money off of people being active in the city.
They're making money off of exploiting immigrants. According to Minneapolis.
But no, you're right.
Exploiting the drivers and immigrants. That's how they're making their money, apparently.
So my question is, like, it's an argument of business model in my mind. Like looking at it from an entrepreneurial type of mindset in myself, I understand, like, if we're going to go full picture with it, right? This is just to counteract that. Let's just to say that they're not. Like, we're going to say that they're trying to be the good guys, right? It's like, they're valued at how much? You know what I'm saying? And I only threw that out there because we're talking about livable wages and being able to afford people. $30,000 is even considered like a higher end of a livable wage, right? Like not everybody in this room might be making $30,000 a year, but I'm just throwing that out there. Like you can afford to do that. And you still will have such a high net worth of that's literally less than $1 million to pay everybody a functionable fee. Now, granted, we do have like the designers and probably the CEO who get they're on the higher end. Those are the higher heads, but okay, cool. But not talking about them, like why it shouldn't be a question when I'm hiring somebody that I'm considering paying them for the work they're doing. I feel like in 2024, we should already have that mindset as a corporation. They're a multi-billion-dollar corporation. I should automatically be like, can this person live off these wages if this person put the time in? Reasonable response.
Yeah, but how often is that asked? How often is that question entertained? In the mind of somebody who already got it.
Because we are slaves to the society.
In the mind of somebody who already got it, if you Tyler Perry, Bill Gates, Oprah, why are you thinking about the people? I mean, not why you thinking, but I'm saying, are you really thinking about the people who are making you that money? Mm-hmm. Because think about it this way, and this goes back to me saying, the ground workers are what is... the ground workers is why you're worth billions.
Yeah.
It's not.
Oh yeah, no. So you make profit off the transactions.
Can you pull up how much Uber is worth one more time? Because I got an answer from ChatGPT and Statistica, and frankly, if you trust Statistica or not, it's I'm quoting my source. Just know what it is. So. Do you got it or?
Gotcha.
She pulling
You said how much is it worth?
Yeah, what's its net worth? Okay. What's its life worth?
Okay, it's 157.96 $1 billion.
Okay, so my thing is, there's a couple of things here, and I'm not playing advocate or anything. I'm just trying to figure this out, right?
No,
it's worth $100 billion, right? That's what you're saying. Mm-hmm. All right, it's worth $100 billion. And the operating cost, according to Statistica, right? And this is what they're reporting. So if there's 4 quarters in a year, right? Mm-hmm. It's saying that 1 quarter, the operating cost worldwide for Uber is $9 billion. So 9 times 4, what was that, 36? Mm-hmm. So 36 billion. So they still got a net profit of like 70 billion. Give or take, right? Maybe let's just say on the lower end, $60 billion is their profit, right?
121 billion
is what they got left.
Is what they would have left.
Okay, so 121.
Yes.
and they don't want to pay the drivers $15 an hour. But it can cost them maybe a couple million or a couple hundred million.
He's like, wait a minute. I thought it was gonna be $100.
I love the double take. Though. Like, wait a minute.
Throwing the numbers out.
Like, I already was like,
That's a scary thought. Like, how is that not like? This is a prime example of what corporate greed is. Because if I'm assuming that their cost of operations on a quarter, like $36 billion is an operating cost. I'm sure that includes salaries and expenses and paid out. So even if it doesn't, let's just say you throw in another billion.
So where's that 120?
Really? Where's
that 121 billion going?
Is it profit sharing to the employees? Because I was a driver, I don't get profit sharing.
No, it's not profit sharing.
That's messed up.
I'm
curious.
I'll gander on Google and ask them.
Keep in mind,
do they profit share?
Uber is upgrading its thing because I think they just announced it or they were in the works, but they were doing the same thing for like tractor trailers. They were doing an Uber service where you could go on the thing, you can go on the app as a customer, consumer, whatever. You can say, hey, I got a trailer that needs to go from Indianapolis to Minneapolis. And you can track where your trailer is from a driver who's going to be like, oh, I'll pick it up. And then they would pick up your trailer. They would drive it all the way to Minneapolis from Indianapolis, 2 different cities, by the way. And yeah, I mean, it's like instead of picking up an actual human being, you're picking up a trailer.
No, they don't have profit sharing.
They don't have profit sharing. So I'm just putting that out there real quick.
They probably have profit sharing between their stakeholders, and
everybody's got to share some part of the pie.
That's where that 121
and that's why they pulled out of Minneapolis. But you know what though? Like it's a scary thought because all it takes is one state, one city to pass this. And guess what? Now they're all going to do it. And you know what it is? Uber's like, we're not doing that because even if it's one city, all of them do it, that the minimum wage continues to go up and up and up. Right. Uber's like, that's just more money out of our pockets. Well, guess what? You have $100 billion still in profit. But so what's the problem?
I want to play against that, not against what you said, but against their thought process in that aspect for just 1 second, because now I feel like the fact that they're pulling out is more alarming. And will trigger more of a conversation now that they're actually pulling out. Because the back out of something as a business, when it involves your target audience, is a big thing.
Yeah,
that's a big thing.
It's huge.
When, like, I was just throwing out that number for the 30,000 for the entire cast or the group. If they would have just buckled down and probably just paid whatever pool that they had here, let's say that was like 1,000 to 2,000, maybe 5,000 drivers, right? That would have been doable. You know what I'm saying? Like, all right, fine, we get what you're saying, cool. Not everybody's arguing for this, but y'all are. We'll answer to that.
Even if you just pay the people, your larger, gosh. Talking is hard for me today. Even if you just paid your larger markets more, because you know that you're gonna make it back. Like you know it's gonna keep flowing in that area.
But you gotta remember, right? They're not gonna dip in their pockets. They're gonna dip in your pockets as a customer. Right. They're gonna keep their profit.
Oh yeah,
make more money.
The other part of the conversation is them talking about charging the customer.
That's why.
More.
Yeah. That's why they were like, we're just gonna pull out because we refuse to let you, the government, tell us our private business how we need to dictate how we exploit the immigrants. Like that's what it is. Right?
I'm supposed to get
how dare you tell me that I can exploit this marginalized group of individuals? Like, no, we'll make a stance right now and just pull out of this one little city because who cares? We got other areas.